My main interest is to preserve our democratic institutions.
Whatever the cost may be.
I want to retain the right to vote.
Fight for liberty!
I have the right to speak freely.
We, the people of the United States,
may prosper together.
We shall never surrender.
In the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Welcome back to the Progressive Patriots. It's me, Leo, here by myself. We're going to talk about some stuff and some things as well. Let's see. Right now, it is 5 after midnight on September 14th. Got some shit going on later today with the Arizona Senate campaign. Very happy to be involved with that. But we can talk about that at a later time. So, like I said, 5 after midnight on the 14th. I don't know if the world explodes between now and then. Who knows? Just something to keep in mind whenever it is that you're listening to this. So, up front, there is a possibility. I pride myself on trying to be as thorough in looking into things as I can. But if I do slip up or if I misrepresent something, there's a phone number, 833-589-7637. It's anonymous. If you want to text or call, it's entirely up to you. I don't know who you are if you don't tell me. 833-LUXPOTS if you have to correct the record, or I need to correct the record. There you go. All right, first thing I wanted to talk about before getting into the meat of it. A while back, I had mentioned the Indo-Pacific area, and how there was, because of Chinese aggression in the South Asia Sea, and getting most entangled into that is our two allies, Vietnam and the Philippines. They're the ones who deal with it the most. But, of course, we have other partners in the region. So, AUKUS, you may have heard Biden talk about that from once or twice. It's one of those things that the average person doesn't care. There's a lot of punditry about him before he was up to any time leading up to that first debate where he ended up getting the boot. He would talk about more, I don't know, nerdy things like NATO expansion, and what I wanted to talk about, the Pacific Alliance, is called AUKUS, which he had mentioned a few times as a policy achievement, which it honestly is. So this AUKUS was established September of 2021. So it's been around for a little while, but at the time, and for the majority of it ramping up, it was a nuclear-powered submarines. Not nuclear missiles or anything, no nuclear weapons, just nuclear powered. Australia wanted to get their hands on some, and they had been cooking up this deal with the French. And then we, the US, and the homies over in the UK swooped in and said, nah, don't buy that French shit. We got the good stuff. And so that's where AUKUS was established. That was I'm going to use this term pointedly, that was the first pillar of AUKUS. And it's something that's going to continue existing as Australia builds up its fleet of nuclear-powered naval vessels, I guess. So, Pillar 1, that's what it is. But as it started expanding, they broke out another pillar, Pillar 2. And this is the one that we had been talking about, well, I had been talking about for fucking ages, because like Mr. Biden, I am a fucking nerd for this stuff. So a while back, we had talked about strategic partnerships between Vietnam, Philippines, that like a trilateral agreement with those two and us. The Canadians getting involved with us, New Zealand, and other regional partners, Japan, South Korea, India, obviously being involved in that as well. So there was like a loose network or web of agreements, pacts, whatever you want to call them, trilateral agreements with Japan and Korea, Philippines and Japan, and like you get the picture. So Pillar 2 is the part of the AUKUS agreement that's going to bring all of those nations into one fold. I have not read yet, and I spent a good deal of time looking into this. I haven't seen if it's a mutual defense thing, but I expect that that's one of the implied parts of joining the AUKUS agreement. So, Pillar 2, it's in the broad terms enhancing joint interoperability and systems integrations. Yeah, that's real fucking helpful. I think that the idea here is joint interoperability is just fucking doing exercises together, making sure we understand each other and operate well together. No shit. Systems integration, I think, is going to be bringing our partners up to a certain level if they're not there already. In particular, I'm thinking about India, Philippines, in those. Maybe Vietnam. I haven't really stopped to read about their stuff, so I couldn't really tell you. But the idea is to bring everybody up to a technological parity. And the specific sections of Pillar 2, so Section 2.1, this was, I call it Section 2.1 because this was the first batch of things that the AUKUS agreement was supposed to develop. The Pillar 2 part of AUKUS was supposed to develop. It's sharing of technology in cyber operations that could be defensive or offensive, artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, and undersea technologies. So that sounds pretty straightforward to me. I can wrap my head around those pretty well. It's after that, after some time passed, Section 2.2, as I'm calling it, just the second part that was announced as part of the Pillar 2 segment of the agreement is, so 2.2 is hypersonic and counter-hypersonic capabilities. I'm going to guess this is for missile defense, intelligence sharing, no shit, and electronic warfare. So, has an ominous name, and I am aware of electronic warfare being a thing, but I'm going to be honest with you, never looked into it. So we will learn about that together another time. So some of the Pillar 2 expansion partner candidates are members of, there's an agreement already called Quad Plus, and I mentioned like a hodgepodge of bilateral agreements between all kinds of partners in the region other than China. Yeah, because that's kind of the point of AUKUS, is to counter Chinese expansion and military armament or expansion. So there's Quad Plus and the other trilateral agreements. All of the nations in that are in that network, not already signatory to AUKUS: Philippines, India, Korea, Vietnam, New Zealand, Japan, and Canada. So it sounds like, from what I've been able to read on this, Japan got there first. Canada came second, and then, or South Korea, I think, might have come second. Those are the top three, we'll say. But they're trying to get everybody else into Pillar 2 because, yeah. One bit I noticed about AUKUS, specifically as it pertains to us, and the fucking elephant in the Indo-Pacific room, is Taiwan, and that's at least as far as we're concerned, and from what I can tell, the other two signatory founding signatures, Australia and UK, they're also going to take as much of a hand in defending Taiwan, or at least playing deterrent to Taiwan. So this is the same shit. I talked about this before. I know it's been a long time, but The same way that NATO was established to build up a network, a partnership network against the USSR, and, fucking Daddy Vladdy is taking up that mantle again. So NATO has expanded by 2, Sweden and Finland, and NATO, the necessity of NATO is becoming more and more apparent. I'm really trying to think of how to phrase this, because this was part. It's been a part of. It was part of what I want to talk about, which is the main thing that I want to talk about was the debate. Like, no fucking kidding. But it came up where Trump was talking about getting NATO to, quote unquote, pay up. That's not how it works. Like, it's not them paying us to protect them or to help them or to whatever. Or they're, like, buying shit from us. That's not how it works. To give him credit, one of the very few times he deserves it, but Trump being a butthole in the whole NATO situation, like, if you don't pay your bills or whatever, like, whatever, that did spur NATO partners into growing towards meeting their obligation of spending. It's not spending it's not money they give to us. There are no bills. That's not how it works. But they have a self-determined obligation to spend a certain percentage of their GDP on national defense. It's like coercion, kind of. It's not the best. Also, because he's a not very smart person, constantly talking about withdrawing from NATO, they started spending because of the possibility of another Trump presidency. So it was like, well, the U.S. is fucking unreliable. They are not allies anymore. They're not part of the mutual defense pact that NATO is. So yes, they've been gradually getting closer and closer towards their obligation, and so I guess, yeah, cool. I'd also mentioned previously that European nations are starting to develop interoperability with each other, excluding us, because of people like Trump. So that's nice. Nonetheless, NATO partners are starting to get up to their self-designated levels of spending. They're meeting their commitments. And now we're starting to develop this AUKUS network thing of alliance, this partnership. So looks like that Pacific version of NATO that I mentioned is coming to fruition here. That I mentioned we needed is coming to fruition. It's man, the powers of World War III, should it come to pass, I don't think so. I don't think it will, but that's neither here nor there. The lines on the map of who goes with who are starting to be drawn out, and it's like Russia, fucking China with their little pet North Korea, Iran probably, but we don't need to get into that what if game. So there you have it. That's AUKUS and how it is developing. All right, the debate. It's astonishing to me that somebody could see that and still think, hey, that guy's pretty cool. He's definitely my guy. That's the one I want to fucking put my name next to. I don't understand how you watched that. And if you probably did not watch that and undecided and then lean in his direction, chances are highly likely that's not the case. But I don't know I don't understand like the fanatic mentality. How did you watch that? The same way, like in, was it June or July, whatever the fuck, when Biden and Trump debated, and yeah, it was a fucking dumpster fire, because of how poorly Biden was, how he presented himself, I guess, or how he handled himself. That made it easier for Trump to seem more disciplined by comparison, if nothing else. But now here we are months on from that, and we're not talking about Biden versus Trump anymore, right? So there was a post I came across just through social medias. It was the woman in the videos. I have a few questions for the mainstream media, or the corporate media, rather. It's one, how is it that all the way leading up to the first debate, up until Biden withdrew his candidacy, all the way up to that time, age was like the most pressing issue on the voting public's mind. That's what everyone was worried about. Everyone was shitting in their fucking pants, wondering if Biden is also doing the same thing. And he withdraws, however you might feel about that. I believe I made my feelings really clear the last time I recorded. Regardless, now it's Trump, who's almost 80. And what? We're not talking about age anymore? Question mark? What happened? I thought age was a problem, because clearly those two fucking 80-year-old men were in cognitive decline. They still are. So what the fuck? But asking the mainstream media to not have their heads up their own asses, I don't know, man. It's impossible. It's impossible for them to do. Other than that part, though, there's that part of it, Trump's obvious cognitive issues. I don't want to continue repeating the nonsense that he was spewing, the like filth that comes out of his mouth. I don't want to repeat it, because I don't want to give it more and more credence by talking about it in really explicit terms. You all fucking know what I'm talking about. You know, you may or may not have them at home. Four-legged friends, and the fucking consumption of them, obscene, fucking obscene. It's I don't know what to say. Words are escaping me at the moment, because it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that I don't know how to describe it. And I did hear more, looked into it more, and there's a fucking skosh of truth to it. But it's not people taking anyone's pets. That's not happening. It isn't. It just isn't. There was a case of, there was a photo of a man in, I think Columbus or Cleveland, one of the big Ohio cities. And it was a black guy carrying what looked like a very obviously dead, I think it was a goose. And so he's carrying it with him. And then a person takes a picture of him, posts it on Reddit, on a Ohio-specific subreddit, where he says, look, this is like just Ohio things. This is what we do here. And that is what got turned into the bullshit they're talking about. It's not even certain whether or not the man is Haitian. It's not even certain if he's an immigrant or what. Nobody knows, because it was just a quick snap as this dude's walking with the fucking dead goose in his hands. So whatever, man. Not certain if it's not clear at all whether or not the guy actively killed it or something. We don't know. So it's a lot of bullshit. This is really all it is. I, however, did hear a really funny, I don't know if it's funny, but an interesting story from a friend of mine. She's on the boxing podcast with me. She's Canadian, right? And went to school in Canada, and there's a lot of Chinese nationals that go to Canada or different countries for school. And there was a problem of Chinese students catching and killing ducks that would be on the campus, that would hang out at on the campus grounds. Like that was their summer home, I guess. And so, I mean, the shit happens, you know, it's just cultural nuances, I guess. I don't know, for us, at least as far as in my own recollections growing up, duck was never on the menu, really. I never even knew where to get duck for most of my life. And whereas for them, it's probably on the menu. It fucking is on the menu, apparently, because if they're like, oh shit, ducks are here, this one's not scared of me, well, I'm just gonna grab it and I'm gonna take it home. I just took a little bit of hey, we don't do it like that here, okay? It's arbitrary, yeah, but cultural nuance. These ducks are a part of the campus, so leave them alone. But if you want, go down to fucking Walmart, get yourself a little pea shooter, and go out to the woods. You can shoot as many ducks as you want, whatever your license allows or your permit allows. Kill as many fucking ducks as you want out in the woods. Just don't kill the ones that are at our city parks or on our campus little pond. It's arbitrary, I know. It's just cultural misunderstanding that all it would take is just a simple conversation with someone, and they'll oh shit, I didn't know, my bad, won't do that again. Because that's what happened, according to my friend when she was in Canada at school. That's what it took. It was just didn't want to single anyone out, just telling the student body at large, leave the ducks that are on campus alone. That's it. If you want to go join the hunting club, I'm sure people would love to show you how to go get some ducks. So now another thing that I looked into about this immigrant population that's, allegedly doing the bullshit that he said they're doing, which they're not. Looking into it, the Haitian immigrants they're all legal immigrants, all of them. They're from Haiti, which, if you don't know what's going on in Haiti, think of fucking Mexico, the cartel gang wars. Think about that, but condensed to a much smaller piece of land in the middle of the water. That's what's happening right now. It's like street to street. You don't know which gang is in charge of which. And yeah, it's a fucking nightmare. Part of the network of people that I work with for the Repatriate Our Patriots, the deported veterans cause, they had a guy in Haiti that they were trying to get out, but the visa, it was a temporary asylum visa while his citizenship stuff was processed, while his naturalization was processed. He was stuck. He could not get to the U.S. despite being very much allowed to go. He couldn't get to the airport because it was too fucking dangerous. You see what I mean? And he didn't live that far from it. It was impossible for him to get from where he lived to the embassy, the U.S. embassy in Haiti. It was impossible to get to the airport, and that looked like triangle of locations anywhere in between. It was fucking impossible without risking life and limb. And so these Haitian immigrants that ended up moving to Ohio, that's how they got here. They were given asylum because that's fucking dangerous. No shit, right? Anyway, they're legal immigrants. They have permission, they have work permits, work visa. So they're just members of the fucking community. They're just normal ass people. It's really, man. It's one of the, man, I feel like I shouldn't rise to this, It shouldn't bother me because it's just the same stupid shit that they always do. But I can't help myself. It fucking bugs me. They're just normal ass people. By all accounts, which includes employers, fucking teachers, doctors, ministers, reverends, whatever you want to call them, everyone thinks that like they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're fine. The language barrier is a little bit of an issue. Creole to English. They weren't prepared for a sudden influx of Haitians. So whatever. That's, just a growing pain. But they'll get there. They work. All employers all say, like, I would prefer more of these people, Haitian immigrants of any variety, because they fucking work harder. And they don't show up high on anything. They don't show up drunk. They don't have any fucking problems. They come in, they work their asses off, and they go home. They pay fucking tax on their income. They go shopping and buy stuff. They rent homes, cars. They're fucking contributing members of society. I'm not sure what more somebody needs to see or what, but sudden realization here that they don't want to see that stuff, right? They want to talk about that new hit single that's going around with everybody adding that song onto their like videos of their pets. A random video where a pet like hides or runs away, completely unrelated, totally innocuous, but then add the song on top of it, and it's pretty fucking funny. I have very much been having a good time going through those. Oh man, I guess that it's another situation of cultural nuance wherein people here in the U.S. are trying to otherize somebody that is not from here for doing something different, when the things that we do are they are fucking weird to other people. Like, go to India, talk about eating beef, they'll lose their shit. Go to a Muslim country, talk about eating pork, they're gonna lose their minds. So there you go. That's a lot more time than that really merited, but there you have it. I mentioned already up top, like the general demeanor of the whole thing. It's like, how do you see that? And then think, yeah, I like that. Let's get more of that. You're out of your fucking mind, man. There's one thing about Harris's performance that really bothered me. Is when it came down to the same issue that everyone else is having, Israel and Gaza. Israel and their fucking war crimes. They're massacring people wholesale and just not saying a fucking thing about it. It was when I went to a watch party. It was here in Arizona. It was in Mesa. And Governor Walz, he was there, so that was pretty cool to get to hear him, like see him and all that. But there was a big disruption of Palestinian protesters, and like the whole time everybody's like trying to drown them out with chants of USA, and I don't know, man. I feel like you're missing the point here. And Walz didn't say anything about it, didn't even acknowledge it. And that's what Harris did in the debate as well. It's like she barely fucking acknowledged that anything's even happening. I don't understand why. This just doesn't make sense to me. It's not computing. You talk about women that live in abortion ban states having to come to near death to receive care. And so you have compassion there. It's obvious you do, because you fucking talk about a lot of different things through a compassionate lens. Like, you look at a lot of situations as something that needs care and attention. And where is this for Gaza? Where is this? Where is this for the fucking continued expansion of settlements into the West Bank? Violently expelling people who have lived there for hundreds of fucking years in that plot of land, like their ancestral homes, and they're getting fucking kicked out under threat of death. It's fucking ridiculous. And because the IDF is busy murdering civilians in Gaza. There are civilian militias in the West Bank, sanctioned by the government, armed by the government, that get to do whatever they're fucking thugs that are throwing people out of their homes for no This shit is fucking insane, and the shit needs to stop. And we are not doing a fucking thing about it, and it's really, really upsetting. There was a woman. If you know me, you know, beyond just me fucking screaming into a microphone at you. If you know me, you know what I look like. There's a woman that was at the watch party with me, or she was just there, or whatever, not with me. When the disruptors were grabbed and they were thrown out, I was watching, like as was everyone else, and this woman comes up to me, and we had been standing in line near each other. There was a guy walking around outside, like when we were in line, waiting to get screened by the Secret Service. He was waving a Palestinian flag, wearing like Palestinian colors and stuff, and he wasn't even saying anything. He was just like walking around near the line waving a flag. And so I shouted out, "Free Palestine, save Palestine." And that specific woman was like, she's like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." And then she started joining in, and a few people in the line also did, but it died out really quickly. It's like nobody else wanted to. It's a fucking just a gesture of solidarity, and people didn't want to partake. Whatever, you want to be okay with that. Whatever's happening there, then that's on you. But the disruptors get thrown out, and that same woman comes up to me, and I don't know, like I said, if you know what I look like, if you know me, she asked, she had tears, and she's like how do you feel about this? And I don't know, like I looked at Walls as he was walking off the stage, and I just got really upset, and it's like I just wish they would fucking say something. It's not difficult. The entirety of their support seems to be contingent upon hostage release, which, yes, that's important. I'm not saying it isn't, but there's like no acknowledgement of what's happening, of how many people are dead. Fucking women, children, elderly people, dead. I don't understand. One of the debate moderators said, you know, you said that Israel has a right to defend itself, but it matters how they do that. And so to put this into further context, to put that question into better context, from my point of view anyway, Israel had like a missile strike that killed the leader of Hamas in Iran, like in a building. Like they had a fucking missile go through a window with that level of precision, okay? But you're telling me that an Israel Defense Force designated safe area needs to have like 2,000-pound bombs, fucking JDAMs, dropped onto it? It doesn't... that does not compute for me. How is that defending itself? And then all they have to say is, well, we believe that there were militants there. Well, I say it every fucking time. With that bomb and the people that you murdered, the innocent people you killed, you're creating the next generation of terrorists. I've heard this, is people saying violence is never acceptable, all that stuff. So the Hamas attack on October 7th. Yeah, I agree. Violence is not acceptable, but that's not how we do things in civilized society. Or in modern society, I guess I can't say civilized. But everything that happened to the Palestinians up to October 6th does not justify October 7th. Fair. But October 7th justifies everything that's happened after it? Let's keep that same energy. Fucking no. Negative. It's not how we do things. It's not how we do it. That's not how I do it, or I believe it should be done. I know that people care. I don't know what words, how do you need this to be phrased to get yourselves on board? I don't know. I commented on a social media post about, like, this is okay, you see this happening. You don't want to vote for Genocide Joe or now Killer Kamala or whatever the fuck they're calling her. So you see this happening. You don't want to vote for them. So when Trump is inaugurated for the second time and gives Israel the green light to do whatever they want, you can congratulate yourself on, I didn't vote for Genocide Joe. And then someone asked me, they already have the green light. It starts to feel that way to me. Whereas before I didn't think that was true. I'm not so sure anymore. One thing I can take solace in, I guess, small comfort, and yeah, like first world issue for me, and people are being butchered like animals, is like, at least with Harris, that's someone who will listen. Their position can be moved. Whereas with Trump, as far as I can tell, it looks like his son-in-law Kushner is lining up some pretty sweet deals for oceanfront property in the Gaza Strip. So I don't know. Are they both terrible? Fucking yeah. But they're not the same. They're not the same. God damn it. I don't know if I'm trying to convince myself or you, whoever's listening. I don't know. I got to get out of here because, like, I'm just gonna continue rambling on this whole thing. Let's put it all in a bow. Kamala fucking mopped the floor with Trump's toupee. And there you have it. That's what it is. You don't like it? I don't know what to tell you. Believe your eyes and your ears, man. Like, stop with the mental gymnastics and look at what happened. And here's the thing: is J.D. Vance, like, if Trump were to withdraw from the race, which he won't, but if he were to, then fuck, you gotta deal with J.D. Vance. So, yep, rest in peace to the Republican ticket. Also, fuck Carrie Lake. Let me put this fucking... Thanks for listening to this episode of The Progressive Patriots, a Lux Media production. If you'd like to give your thoughts on what we discussed, or if there's something that needs a correction, you can text our anonymous line at 833-589-7637. If you think you're entertaining or informative, call and leave a message, and we'll see if you make the final release. 833-LUXPODS. You can't go wrong. If you prefer to hit us up on social media, the account name is LVXMediaNet on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the rest of that shit. If you can't find us, chances are we're not on it. A lot of stuff gets cut from the final releases for all kinds of reasons. So if you want the raw audio from our lips direct to your ears, look us up on Patreon. LVXMediaNet over there, just like everywhere else. Intro and outro by Middle of Nowhere Beats. And for more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lvxmedia.net. Outro plugs and shit. Because of how little time is left before the election, or election day, I'm going to try to make this a recurring Thursday thing. If you're listening on Patreon, thank you. And if you're not, you should be. If you want to get involved with the type of shit that I get up to, that I've been getting up to, commondefense.us, that's where you go sign up. And you could get some of these dope t-shirts. All right, I'll see you next time.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair.
No dictatorship can exist with suffrage, freedom of speech and press.
The misery that is now upon us is the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. Life can be free and beautiful. The hate of men will pass, and the power they took from the people will return to the people.